Welcome in to another episode of Reinventing Life After 50. I am super excited about our next guest today, Dallas Collis. Dallas, why don't you tell everybody where you're from and your story, why you're here?
Well, that is the beginning point of everything I do and write about is that you, Scott, are a story. I am a story.
Yeah.
And we live by the story who we believe we are. And that's created by all the experiences we've gone through, the ups, the downs, the trauma, the failures, the success. And each of those things layer a little piece of story on top. And at eventually point in life, when we become aware of our story, we live it. We identify as our story, and that becomes who we believe we are. And so we live on that story. So for me, that story was failure. That story was unintelligent. That story was not worthy or not good enough. And a loser in basic parlance. So I spent 50 years living like that. And that baggage, that pain and suffering that, I'm not special. Almost everyone has their challenges, their trauma, their baggage. But 50 years of that culminated in alcoholism, drug abuse. All addiction is trying to get that pain away,
Yes.
cover it up, make yourself feel different, change the mood, the feeling of your life. And that's why addiction works so easily and people can fall into it. And not just alcohol, of course, pornography, working out, food, you name it. We can turn anything into something that becomes a defensive mechanism to keep pain away.
Mm-hmm.
So I got lucky. I'm one of those rare people who got really lucky. I woke up one morning with cancer. This was the best day of my life. Because over the next 12 months, I lost my wife, I lost my house, I lost my family, I lost my business. I ended up alone, broke, depressed, angry, hurt, and suicidal. That's the greatest year you could wish for. And people go, "What, are you crazy? What do you mean great? How did you even survive?" That's the point.
Mm.
That's what I woke up to. If you can go through that kind of wreckage and stand back up, nothing in life can touch you. You have no more fear. You have no problems. Nothing can come at you again if you're willing to make the connection. Lots of people are destroyed by their story and never get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Spend their whole life struggling and fighting with their demons, with that story they carry.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it all begins, is what is everyone's story? Why is that the thing that's holding them in place, holding them back, holding them down, making them feel like they can't?
Yeah, and I think that's the balance that comes into it, right? Like you mentioned, like addictions, and obviously, you and I we did a pre-show call a few days ago, and of course, I'm a health enthusiast nut, right? I'm in the gym.
Me too.
I'm a gym rat. I know you are too. We talked about that, and I take a very clean diet. I'm plant based, going on 2 decades. But you can see that too. I mean, as a thing to running from or covering up something that's not being dealt with, right? And so here's what I jotted this down. So you'll see me as we go through, and the guests who use this. I have notes to the side that I take that makes me kind of think about things. And so what that statement that reminds me of what you said is we program ourselves. We
Mm-hmm.
really are hypnotizing ourselves by
Mm-hmm.
the self-talk, self-hypnosis, right? And then that hypnosis that we do then creates the lenses in which we view the world. And so it can become very distorted because we're used to that. Just like you wear glasses, you almost forget all the time you have them on because you've been wearing them for years,
Right.
right? So the same thing. We tell ourselves that we program ourselves to a certain kind of thing, and that's how we just view the world
Yeah.
as it. And then we avoid dealing with those things that we need to. Many times my clients in the personal training and fitness space, I'm a counselor more than anything, because most of the time they're dealing with some sort of childhood trauma that's what we're talking about most of the time. And you said something that made me think about. I could be saying the word incorrectly, but the Japanese art of joinery, which is called kintsugi, I think is how you
Right.
pronounce that. So that's, as you know, they take porcelain, it breaks, and they put it back together with lacquer. Well, that's not proof that you're broken. That's proof that you can be healed. And so what you said was very beautiful and made me think about that. That's the point. If I could survive all of that and be where I am here now, what excuses do we have? Right? It's remarkable, man.
It's also waking up to it was a belief system.
Mm.
What is the reality of a belief?
Mm.
You believed things 10 years ago that you don't believe today.
100%.
You will
Yes.
believe things in 10 years from now that you don't believe today.
Right.
So what's the truth of a belief?
Mm.
So if I've lived in yesterday, my past, my story, and I have decided that's who I am, and it's not real. One day after I'd come through this sort of life collapse year,
Mm-hmm.
I'm preparing some food, and in the background, there's a podcast on YouTube playing. And it was about consciousness. And a man on the podcast said one little statement that changed my life right there and then. He said, "Show me yesterday."
Mm.
That was it. What is the reality? Where is it? Can I go to a cupboard and pull yesterday out and show it to you?
Yeah.
Of course not. And people will go, well, obviously, it's just a memory, as if it's no big deal. But if I'm living my life in the memory and it's just a belief, I don't have to believe it.
That's it.
I can rewrite the story.
Yeah.
For instance, trauma is an event that happens.
Mm-hmm.
It has no meaning in itself. It's just an event. I have a scar on my hand from cutting it when I was a child. It's an event. It's a scar. It has no meaning unless I believe it has a meaning.
Right.
As soon as I do, the past is real to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I carry the baggage, the pain from a scar. And if I relive it constantly in my memory, replay it, rewatch the movie over and over, it becomes this powerful piece of who I think I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's created in only memory and a belief in the memory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to believe it if I choose not to. That's what struck me.
Well,
There's no reason to go forward believing the past.
That's so true. And then you think about the other piece of that, right, is the subconscious doesn't know the difference between whether you're actually living it right now or you're telling yourself that.
Right.
So if you're telling yourself that, the subconscious says, okay, I'm experiencing this, right? It just does. So yeah, that's very, and it's kind of like, you mentioned something about, tell me about yesterday, it made me think about like when people say, describe to me like what love is. You can't, there's nothing tangible that you can describe it as, right? Because it's just it's a belief, really, right? I mean, it is a feeling. You have a feeling from it or whatever. It makes you feel some kind of way, but it's a belief, right?
I push back against that whole idea, though.
Let's talk about it. Talk about it.
People, it's big today to say you have to love yourself. I think that's a bunch of garbage. You can't love anything. You are love.
Yeah, right.
You can't be a thing in your life. You are your life. Mm-hmm. We try to push everything outside of us as if it was an object we can reach, we can succeed, we can get a hold of. Like I lived with the Gona monster for 1,000,000 years. Mm. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to change my life. Everything was somewhere out there. Yeah. That's going to happen. And the reality is nothing will ever happen because it's happening right here, right now. Mm-hmm. You and I don't happen yesterday or tomorrow. It's only right here, right now.
It's right now. I have that conversation many times with clients all the time. And I tell them, they're like, well, what about yesterday or what about tomorrow? So it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You're in this moment right now, exactly where you're supposed to be. And it's what you do with it.
You have no control over tomorrow. It takes care of itself by the work you do today.
Exactly. And that's the thing. You try to prep for that, but you don't have control on that.
No.
You can't, no reason to hang on to the past because you can't change it. You can't really impact, you prepare for tomorrow, but you don't know if it's actually going to arrive. So you can only live right now in this single moment
Yeah.
and what's
See,
present.
we shine a light on yesterday,
Yeah.
our past, or we shine a light on tomorrow because it's going to be better or
Right.
different or even worse in a negative sense. But we shine this light behind us and in front of us,
Yeah.
and we forget that we are the light.
Yeah.
We're doing the shining, so why not shine it right here, right now?
Yeah.
And not be infected by that thought from the past, memory, or the imagination of a future that isn't real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be here.
Yeah. Be present, be here. It's intentionally living, right? So most people are just co-pilots in life. So I'm going through, my research and kind of speaking about, looking at some of your content and things we talked about. Your bio says emotions are not feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's a super bold statement. And of course, you've made some bold statements here, right?
Yeah.
So elaborate on that for the audience.
Okay. You're made up of 37 trillion cells
Mm-hmm.
in your body and your mind. Those cells are electrically charged. You are basically a biological electric robot, a machine.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Electricity is going through every cell all the time. When you sleep at night, you recharge batteries and cells through the food you ate, through the movement of your body, your fitness level. All these things contribute. Electric motion is emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Your entire being is in emotion all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Those cells functioning, moving, what they do is send messages.
Yeah.
You pick them up in your brain and we interpret them and we get a feeling. The feeling is not the emotion, it's the reading of it.
Right.
The emotion has no feeling, it sends a message.
Yeah.
So when you eat well and you work out and you get good sleep, what happens? Those cells are functioning well and you feel better.
Yeah.
You go walk in a forest because you're in a bad mood. What happens? The mood goes away because your cells are connected to the world and they feel better, they work better, and they send the signal and you get the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the disconnect of emotion and feeling.
It's very interesting. So, I just had a conversation today with about something similar to this with a guy. He was talking about his lower back pain. And this is all going to connect here in a second. I said, well, and he's 55. And I said, it's probably not lower back pain. It's probably a lack of mobility in your hips, which then probably has come from your knees and probably your ankles. How do your ankles feel? He goes, they're always sore. I said, we need to do mobility training in your ankles because it chains up the body. So I said, I train barefoot. I train barefoot for a reason, for many things, stabilizers, all those kind of things that happen. But more importantly, I'm doing it to ground because of what it does to the body. Where, like you said, the cells are, I have this thing that this concept that I give clients all the time, talking about how cells are communicating each other. They're like, imagine them sending text messages to one another. Hey, Dallas has fed me a lot of junk today, man. I got to be over here. And I'm sorry, I can't come over there and help you. I've got to battle this over here. They tell each other, he's not taking care of me. So then they don't take care of you. The cells are constantly replenishing in the body all the time. So imagine that you've got a lot of dis-ease and inflammation, all those things in the body. And new cells are born into this hostile environment. They tell everybody, all the other cells in the body, hey, this is very hostile. I'm sorry, I can't help you right now, right? So it's the same concept. It's the same thing, the same exact thing. Everything's electrically charged in our body, and we're puppets to the cells in our body, right? So really,
and it's also a big feedback loop.
Yes.
The story that gave you baggage that we call emotional baggage. Why do we call it that? Because it actually harms our cells.
Yes.
It creates dysfunction, disorder, and if it goes on long enough, it turns into disease.
Yeah.
Cancer, heart disease, obesity, diabetes. These are all cellular dysfunction that are attuned to stories, baggage, stress, worry, anxiety, everything feeds back and forth.
Yeah.
People don't sleep well, not based on physical reasons almost ever. It's what you take in your head and take it to bed is the problem.
Yeah.
So, I had back pain for 40 years. I didn't have a good night's sleep for 25 years. I'm not one. And as soon as I got my head straight, all went away.
Yeah.
Now, I was doing the physical as well. So we can't ever say one thing is complete.
Right.
We are a multi-unit, they're all the pieces have to work together.
They play together. They have to work together. But
That's
you
why
can't leave one
my
out.
book, where am I? My book right here, it's called Live Long with a Fit 5 Life. So it's physical fitness, it's food fitness, it's mental fitness, social fitness, and sleep fitness.
Yeah.
You have to have all the pieces. One thing doesn't fix anyone. So it was interesting when you said, when you're doing training, a personal trainer, and you end up talking about baggage and childhood trauma, and everything is constantly leading back to this memory of yesterday problem that we carry around as emotional baggage.
Yeah.
Our bodies and everything free up and will become healthier fitness-wise in every way when our minds free up.
So it's the mind thing, right? Too, and the cells have memory. And people
Absolutely.
don't understand that the cells have memory and it remembers those things. So it's like
that's why your muscles have memory.
That's it.
It's
and I say this, it's
cells.
cellular based. Exactly. So I have this, this is something that I share with clients as well. They'll say to me, man, like I'll meet them and let's say it's an online conversation or online training I'm doing that day. And they say, man, I had a really rough day. They come with all this stuff that they talked about, right, throughout the day. This guy cut me off, or this woman did whatever in the grocery line, right, and it made me feel this kind of way. I said, okay, and how did you react to it? And they said, oh, it made me mad, and I stormed out. I said, okay, let's shelve that for a second. Let me ask you a question. Let's say it's 2 a.m. and your smoke alarm goes off in your house, and it wakes you up out of a dead sleep, adrenaline rush, you get out of the house. When you go by that alarm, do you cuss the alarm out because it woke you up to something that you needed to know about? No, I'm glad it woke me up. Same thing. That woman, whatever she did to make you feel that way, that's your alarm to tell you there's something you got to deal with. Why would you be mad at it? Why don't you say you're going to have a human emotion to it initially? Sure. I mean, we have those varied emotions for a reason, right? But then go from being a victim of it and say, thank you for that. What is it that I need to work on? You might not get the answer right away, but there's something inside of you dating back to childhood, typically cellular level things that need to be dealt with that you have avoided. That's what that is.
You're treading on the edges of blame addiction.
Yes.
You see, when we don't want to take responsibility for ourselves because it's a scary place to go because of that baggage, we most commonly use blame addiction. It's their fault. It's the world's fault. It's not my fault.
It's easy,
They
right?
did this to me. That did this to me. It's not me. Yeah. This is the defensive system of addiction. We use it all the time to try and keep ourselves safe. We think we're keeping ourselves safe. We're actually just keeping ourselves hidden from that story that we have to understand is behind it.
Man, it's so true. It's so true. So you're a life extension trainer. What does that entail, and what are some of the key practices that you recommend for extending lifespan?
One thing I always want to make clear is you cannot get younger. There's a big thing out now. People go, you can reverse aging.
Right.
You don't reverse aging. It's impossible.
Right.
It's a linear step. What you can do is extend your health span. You can feel better longer. So you can do things like die younger. So some people are dead at 70, but they live another 15 years in a chair, in a home, doing nothing until they die. Well, I don't want that 15 years. I want to go out while I'm in a walk or climbing a mountain or, that's where I want to go because I used it up. And so life extension is really a play on words. It's health extension is what we're really talking about. Eating better, moving your body more, being more mentally aware of the now, right now, here.
Yeah.
Having good relationships with other people, getting good sleep is all about extending the health of your life so you can enjoy it. You know, we all have the same destination in life, every human being, and we all know what it is. We
Yeah.
want to find a peaceful, still, calm happiness.
Yeah.
We wait for retirement because we think we're going to move to somewhere and be happy and calm and relaxed. We do everything we do. We're trying to get to the same destination. Why wait?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you waiting for? Why
Yeah.
not do it now? Because everyone can.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only a belief that is the problem. There are no problems.
It's
You
interesting.
make it.
You're true. It's true. I had a guest on a while back. His name's Graham, and he's from Australia. He's 76, I believe, and he shared these tied together. He said in Australia they have this fund called superannuation, and what superannuation is that from like when you're born, this money's kind of like Social Security is in the United States. Money's kind of set aside, this nest egg for when you retire. He said the problem with that is people spend all this time collecting this nest egg, but they don't bank fitness dollars along the way to enjoy the retirement when they get there. And he said the whole goal is to live as young as you can, as long as you can, like
Right.
you just said. So it's like, had they talked, because it was such a very similar talk track
Yeah.
that he shared. And it's so true when you think about it like that. And there's studies, there's many, as you know, but this is really for the audience's kind of education. There's studies that if you get to 60 years old without any major health illnesses, you can live well into 100 plus if you just do those things. Now there's all kinds of things that impact that.
Yeah.
But that's the baseline statistic. Well, what does that
Look
mean?
at all the people who die soon after retirement.
That was going to be my next statement. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think one of the huge disasters in our culture now is comfort and convenience. We've made life so easy that it's made us weak, and we're becoming fragile. You see young people who can't even take criticism without having a fit, like you've attacked them.
Yeah.
This is a part of this fragility we're building into ourselves, and humans were meant to struggle.
Yeah.
We're meant to push back against resistance for our strength. It's the weed in the driveway that keeps coming up to a tiny crack because it struggles and fights. That weed is so strong, we pull it out, it just keeps coming back. Well,
Yeah,
humans are the same. You build the same kind of strength by fighting against resistance, whether it's mental or physical, whatever it is.
There it is, man. And that's the thing I was going to say. They're one and the same. You could use the same terminology for physical and mental, right?
Yes.
Because the physical thing you're doing, you're putting the muscle under stress so it can become stronger. Well, the mental side of it is, and if you're sedentary physically, you're going to willow and die. Well, the same thing happens mentally. You don't put it under the stress, it's going to willow and die. So, you know, I'm 52. I'll be 53 in February. At 48, I decided to go back to school to get my PhD in philosophy. Why? Well, one, I have a joke. I told my brother, he asked me that question. I said, so you have to call me doctor. That's the whole goal. So you have to call me doctor. I said, but secondarily, it was to challenge myself to see, why can't I? Time is going to pass regardless of what I do. So I might as well be doing the things that I want to enjoy and those things that make me uncomfortable to stretch me and grow me, you know? So.
Okay, let me push into an area that'll be very controversial. I think it was your Facebook page, I saw you posted a picture of, I think it was Simone Biles.
Yeah.
With all the medals around her neck. Now, for anyone out there who doesn't know, she's a famous American gymnast who's won many gold medals. But several years back, she came out with her mental illness struggle from abuse and trauma and all these things. It was a big turning point in the culture of mental illness. And my controversial take is a virus has a tipping point where it either takes off and everyone gets the virus, or it peters out because we realize it wasn't really that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
This was a viral moment. And what took off was the fragility of people. Every little anxiety, fear from my past, suddenly that's a mental disorder.
Right.
It wasn't a mental disorder. But now we had this. Oh, you're so courageous to come forward and speak about your mental health. And you'll have 1,000 fans go, that's courageous? I can do that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to belittle mental health because it's a serious thing. But a lot of our mental health is fragility. We are misrepresenting what it really is.
I don't think that's controversial at all. I don't think that's controversial at all. I think it's accurate. And I think if you really talk to people in a quiet space where they didn't think anybody else was listening, they would say that it's just that. Those people that are saying that, oh, I have a mental illness, whatever it is, and that legitimately you do have, there's a place, like you said, there are people that have that and deal with that.
Certainly.
But though there's a lot that just, it's a viral type thing that, oh, that must be what I have too. Let's really talk about it. Is it because you just don't want to face something, or is it truly that you have a mental illness? Are you just
also there's a benefit to it. There's a benefit for me to say, here's my badge.
Right.
There's something wrong with me. I'm special.
Right. That's what I
listen to me. I'm in the in crowd. I'm fashionable.
Yeah.
And that's a real scary side.
It's a novelty. And that's what I was getting to. I don't think that's controversial at all. I don't. I think it's needed to be said. And
I guarantee if you say this online, you get bombarded by people.
Well, it's the wrong. Those aren't our tribe, right? Those aren't our tribe. So let's step past that. I love that take. You and I are in alignment there. Your book, The Step System, suggests a structured approach to self-improvement. Give us an overview of the step system.
Yeah. Well, you understand, I've written 4 books.
Yeah.
These books came from my year of life collapse. The first one was about cancer. The second one was my journey of saying, well, how do I get my life back? And because I'd spent so long with big goals, big dreams that I never didn't achieve them, the gonna monster, things I'm gonna do and didn't, then I realized I had to break this down into a tiny space. If I was going to move forward, I had to find a tiny little step to take. Forget the big picture. And so what I did was, because I'm thinking no yesterday, no tomorrow, what is there? Well, it's a 24-hour day. If I sleep 8 hours, I have 16 hours in which to live my life. That's all. One little box of 16 hours. Alcoholics Anonymous will say, how do you get it? One day at a time. Just do it one day at a time. I took the same philosophy and said, if I just use this 16 hours as my day, can I make one step to eat a little better in 16 hours? I think I could probably do that.
Yeah.
Could I go for a 30-minute walk? One little step in 16 hours? Yeah, I think I could do that. So everything I made a little step. And just said, take the little step. Tomorrow, take another step. And eventually you arrive at a better place.
Yeah.
It's not so complicated. We make it complicated because we think it's this big dream, big goals, big destinations. And the reality is the destination will always be right here.
Yeah.
Right in front of you.
Yes. Man, it just, there's so many, I didn't realize, I knew that we would have a very interesting conversation based on our discovery call that we had. I didn't realize there would be so much alignment. I read your stuff, but as you're saying these things, that's why I feel like I'm speaking to a future version of myself. It's very interesting.
Scott, the reason I started, Scott, and said, there's nothing unique or special about me or my story or my journey is this. You already know all this stuff. Everyone does. It's in us. It's in us.
Yep.
We simply cover it up and we complicate with this storm of world, economics, politics, our baggage, our life story, all this stuff gets in the way of the actual knowledge that we all already have.
Yeah. Yeah. It's inherently there. And it's interesting and I'll kick this back over to the physical side since that's the space that I work in, right?
Yeah.
But it's a congruent thing. There's a synergistic thing that's happening here is I come to clients and they'll say to me, they come to me, they're 290 pounds, let's say. And they'll say, yeah, how long is it going to take me to get to my goal? Like whatever the goal. And I say, okay, listen, how many years have you been eating like this, doing this? They'll say, 25 years. I said, okay, here's one thing I can promise you. If we do some things now, it's not going to take you 25 years. It will take time, but understand it took you 25 years to get here. So it's going to take a little bit of time. It's literally one day, one movement, 1 minute at a time that we're stepping through. That's all we can ask for is right now. Yes, you will see results, but it's right this very moment. You showed up today. That's the biggest thing. Let's focus on that.
There you go, Scott. You're speaking to a consistent practice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you've been consistently practicing your entire life to be who you are right now today. If you want to change direction, you have to consistently practice in a new direction. But it happens today, not anywhere else.
So, and then there's also the other side of that too, is like, there's a lot of grace that you have to give yourself too, right? Because people are so hard on this. Like you think about this as humans, we are so readily to give grace to other people so much quicker than we are ourselves.
Oh, so
that's the part of it too. Is like, give yourself grace in this and walk through it. And it's okay. A habit, like you said, habit can start today. What if tomorrow you have a cheat day, you fall off? Well, so what? The next day is a brand new habit. It doesn't mean you have to throw everything away that you led up to this, right?
This is the last book I've just written is called The Gift is the Present.
Yeah.
Well, the gift is this one day.
Yeah.
If it is not perfect tomorrow, guess what? You get a do-over.
You get a do-over.
You get to try again.
You get to try again.
What an incredible gift it is to have it.
Yeah, it is.
That's the grace you give yourself is, wow, what a gift I've got.
Yeah.
What power I've been given.
Yeah.
All I have to do is choose to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful.
It's always been here.
That's it. That's it. Tell us about the mind-body dance. Okay. How important is the mind-body connection in your work? Obviously, we know mind-muscle connection, all those kind of things. There's some, again, similarities. So tell us about, the mind-body connection in your work and how people can further cultivate that.
Well, it's understanding that exact thing. When you just talked about someone comes to you who's 200 and whatever odd pounds and wants to lose weight, right? Mm-hmm. I will see people at the gym for the last 2 years, the same person, the same time on that treadmill, and they're 260 pounds. They're 70 pounds overweight, and it hasn't changed in the 2 years I've been seeing them there. Nothing has changed. So what is the problem? Well, they have a disconnection of the mind and body. That's the reality. They're not dancing together. They are not connected. They're just saying, if I separate my body and make it do the work, it will somehow magically disappear all the weight and I'll be great. The reality is it's the mind that does more of the work. Well, I would say 50% is on your feet. 50% is on your fork. And 100% is in your head.
Yeah. It's the intentionality of it, right?
Yes.
People aren't intentionally showing up for those kind of things, like the mental or the physical. So the thing you talk about, people showing up at the gym, never changing their body, and
chances are that shows the addiction.
That's it.
They're going to the gym because they go to the gym because it maybe takes their head away. They get out of their head, but they're not really doing it congruently together to be healthy. They're using it as an addiction.
I couldn't agree more. And that's exactly, not in so eloquent ways. I was going to say something very similar, but it made me think of the word synergy. Mm-hmm. And if you really look up the word synergy, I think Webster's defines it as the combined effort of a group is greater than that of the individual.
Mhm.
So think about it in your aspect of philosophy, how that all ties together. All those things that have to fit together synergistically.
Exactly.
Have one without the other. It has to all fit together, and it's much stronger. So, to your point, is I tell clients they'll come and say, "Can I look like you if I only come 3 days a week?" No, I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I'm plant based. I watch everything that I eat. I don't drink alcohol. I don't eat sugar. None of that. No, you can't. But you can make some changes. You will see results, and don't focus on how you look. It's about how you feel.
Exactly.
Hey, I want a six pack. Why do you want a six pack? Are you competing? Like, what's the goal of the six pack?
Yeah.
So you talked about this on the top, but I made note of this, and I want you to dive a little bit deeper in this. And I know we've covered some of this, but I think kind of encapsulating this here is a good spot to do this. As you mentioned, you've been through a lot: cancer, addiction, starting over at 60. How has all of those experiences shaped your philosophy?
Everything big is small.
Mm.
Life is a little tiny thing.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Be serious in your work, but don't take life seriously.
Yeah.
We get outside of this being right now, and we make this huge story. We live in this great drama of the world around us. You just had a big election in your country.
Yeah.
The drama that led up to that election.
Good Lord.
The day after, it's gone.
Yeah.
It just vanishes like it never happened. Because why? Because life didn't change. We think things are so big, crises and change, and everything's gonna, this storm. And we wake up in the morning and, oh, it's just
We
another
make it
day.
so. We make it so. We make it such, right? We build that all up. I say this quite a bit to clients and stuff, like with many things. But I said, imagine if an alien came from another universe, they landed here, and they saw what we were doing. They'd be like, "You guys are effing crazy. What are you doing?" So, right? So, I just think about that, like the things that we make up in our head. We make our reality, and it's just not. It just really doesn't matter at the end of the day. It just doesn't.
You said earlier about this. We're sleepwalking through life.
Yeah.
Habit, routine, the daily in and outs of what we've always done, repetition, memory, imagination. It's a sleepwalking event. We also have a rational tool in our mind. We could rationally look at almost anything we do, and it would have a totally different view, and often does after the fact. We get in an argument. My feelings get hurt. And later I look at it and I'm very rational and I go, oh, that was silly. I didn't need to do that. That didn't really mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
We have this amazing tool about the rational brain, but we don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
Not because it's not always available. We simply don't practice.
Right.
So the big point is we have, what do they say, 10 to 30,000 thoughts a day flow through our mind. Mm-hmm. You don't grab every one of them and look at them. Most of them just float by like a river you're sitting beside. Mm-hmm. You grab the ones that your ego attaches to your story and says is important to you.
To justify it.
Right. So you've got anger inside, something happens, and your ego goes, oh, see, you just got attacked. Be angry, fight back. And you do. But you're not being rational and going, well, this is just a thought.
Yeah.
It's no more real than any other. You can't remember what you ate on Tuesday, September 12th in 2005, can you, Scott?
Nope, cannot.
Why can't you? This is one of the keys to, I think, to like, why can't you remember it? Because you didn't focus on it and then replay it in your mind over and over. Because if you had, let's say 5-10 times a week, ever since then, you would know exactly what you ate, everything about it, because you created the memory.
That's it. I didn't make it important because it wasn't.
Right. Which leads me back constantly to the story and say, things you think are important and that hurt you are only as real as you made them.
That's it.
They don't really exist.
Yeah.
It's only you repeating the story and keeping it alive that has the pain with you. If you want to get out of the struggle and the suffering in your life, stop replaying it. You can choose to drop thoughts. That negative thought enters your head. Normally, you don't even think of it. It just starts winding. Sometimes it spirals and drags you down, and you're getting worse and worse, and you don't even know why. Because you were sleepwalking.
Mhm.
You can have a negative thought come into your head, and if you're awake, you can go, huh, what's that thought about? Oh, I don't need that. And it will just go away.
Yeah.
The minute you do that, it's a simple technique. Anyone can do it, but you have to be awake.
Yeah.
Be aware of what's going on in your head. Think about what you're thinking. We usually don't. We just allow thought.
It's because we're operating in the emotion, right? So I one of the things I do is I corporate train sales teams.
Right.
And one of the things that we talk about when I'm training them, I said, what you have to understand with people is when they throw the objection up of I need to think about it. I said, they're not going to think about it. That's something that they haven't told you. You haven't got to the heart of what it really is. So because what you have to understand that the vast majority of people do, they make emotional decisions and justify it with logic later.
Right.
That's it. And so you have to understand that. Like you have to try to figure out exactly what that objection is with throwing up to have a real conversation. Doesn't mean that they're going to buy from you today, but you at least get to the heart of it. So when they are ready, maybe it's a financial thing that pops up, you've worked through the smoke screen that they've put up, you know?
Yeah. It's the difference between you walk into a store and you know what you're looking for and you've come to buy it, right? You've already made the decision.
Yeah.
You're already in that space.
Yeah.
Take the same person, walk into a store, and just looking around, a salesman walks up or a saleswoman and says, "Can I help you?" What do? No.
Yeah.
Your defensive system comes up because you aren't already deciding what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're sleepwalking, really.
Yeah.
Just window shopping, and you don't want anyone to say, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
Because you're not thinking what you want.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So see, great sales is broaching that wall and saying, just have a conversation. Just say hello to the person. Not anything about a sale. Because once you have a relationship, you know. Yeah. Things sell.
That's it. 100%.
Here's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but if you're interested, it's right here.
Yeah, and I teach guys, have a conversation like you were with the person you love the most.
Yeah.
Just have a real conversation with them. And it's okay to have a tough conversation in that time with them. They'll appreciate that. Because I can tell you, if they are going to speak to somebody else, they're going to speak to their wife or whoever that is, they're going to have the same conversation that you could have had with them.
That's right.
Why not? You're already there. Why not? So what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about emotions?
That it's complicated. That's it.
Yeah.
We are a species who likes complication. Look, college degrees, science, data, information. We need to know. We want something solid, foundational, the truth. And the reality is, I was watching a podcast this morning on physics. The top physics scientists in the planet. And what are they doing? They're constantly arguing and debating what is real and not, what's the truth, what is the new theory. We don't know anything. And yet we try to create this complex reality for ourselves, and then we wonder why it's frazzling us. Because we don't come to the simplicity of it's just living.
Yeah.
It's just being together with each other. It's just love and caring and sharing and communicating together. That's all it is. It's not complicated, but that's what makes it hard. Because simplicity is really hard. Yeah. Complication is easy. There's a million books, a million complexities to get involved in. It's simple to go there. Simplicity is really hard.
It's one page, right?
Yeah, because you go, it can't be that simple. Guess what? It is.
It is. It is. That's so great. I
Hey,
love it.
it's not easy to be happy.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
Just be happy.
Yeah. It's great, man. I love that so much. So, give us a practical tip that people can implement to better manage that emotional baggage that we're talking about.
Yeah, I just mentioned it a few minutes ago. Think about what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Observe your thoughts. That's a practice. We normally let them just float by and carry us away.
Mm-hmm.
Think about your thoughts. I had to, in the beginning, use sticky notes. I put one on my fridge and it just says, "What are you going to eat?" So when I got up to go to the fridge to get a snack or whatever it was, I saw this sticky note and it made me think about what I'm thinking about. Oh, right. What am I going to eat? Oh, why am I eating? Am I really hungry? Or am I eating out of an addiction because I'm bored, which is really common? Just sitting there watching the show or something. Oh, I think I'll grab the Doritos.
Yeah. Right.
Just a distraction, a part of addiction to move my mind. So for me, it was little sticky notes here and there that would tell me to wake up, to be aware of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we go through so many hours unaware. We just do this robotic life that we've always done. And we wonder why where we are is where we are. Because we don't think about where we're going. So for me, that's what got me moving. Was just those little things. I have one on my TV and it just says, maybe you should go for a walk.
Mm.
That's all it says.
Mm-hmm.
Put the thought in my head. Become aware in the moment. Oh yeah, I guess I could go for a walk. It's just a little jogging of your thinking and not allowing it to just go on its own because it's not your friend. It's your ego and it's your baggage from yesterday. And that will always carry you on that same path. You have to push yourself out of that path. My life of a disaster that fell apart was a massive kick in the ass that
Yeah.
woke me up, right? That's all it did. It woke me up to go, if this whole history brought me here, do I want to repeat it anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And no, I didn't. It ended everything. Everything. Alcoholism, everything went away because I realized that's what got me here was that pain.
How long ago was that? When did that happen? You said
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Yeah, you said it at the top. I couldn't remember. So it's like we said. It's being a co-pilot in your own vehicle is what's
Yeah.
happening. You know,
That's right.
It's like who's driving this thing? You know,
Take the steering wheel.
yeah, take the wheel. And I like what you're doing with the post-it notes. Those are triggers for you. They're
Yeah.
just triggers
That's all they are.
That's all it is a trigger. So you have a book called Fix Your Shit. what's the biggest shit people need to fix, you think?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
That's it. Our story is the shit we've got to fix. Because for most people, it's not everyone. There are a few people who have nothing but a glowing, wonderful story of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. But you know, as well as anyone, that most people, almost everyone, has stuff from their past that is hurting them today. That's our shit. That's our emotional baggage. You know, we carry that around and wonder why our life stinks because it's a bag full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need to carry it. And
So,
you don't need to examine it. You don't have to heal anything. You don't have to relive anything to figure it out. This is why I meet people every day. I work with coaching, and they've been in therapy for 25 years speaking to their therapist. And inside, you quiz them, and they go, I don't even know if I'm getting anywhere. Why? They're just repeating and regurgitating their story.
mm-hmm.
Why not just leave the story?
Yeah. It's not serving you.
Disbelieve your life. Disbelieve it.
Yeah.
And then reimagine and create the one you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is a simplicity. It's real hard to do because it takes practice, dedication, discipline, all those things. Those little post-it notes were discipline. Remember, oh yeah, I should eat better.
Yeah.
That's all. Make it that simple and small.
So I tell clients, something similar about laundry. I say, when you get home from a long trip, what do? You unpack your bags and you just throw it in the laundry. You don't examine it all. You
Yeah,
know what's
exactly.
in there. Like, you just throw it and you wash it, and then you start over. Well, it's the same thing with your life. Yes, our life is, War and Peace, a book as thick as that, but we get to determine what's going to be on the next page.
Yeah.
The next page, we get to determine what that next chapter is for you. 2-3 years ago, that was your new chapter that you now get to write and change going forward. You don't have to be a victim and held and chained to what happened in your past. Those things are the things that make you stronger, so you can move forward and you have those experiences to move forward. But why are you letting it tackle you and
Yeah.
hold you down? I don't know, man.
Memory is a toolbox. Okay. And when I say, forget the past, walk away, leave it. Well, not everything,
Right.
because there's tools in that toolbox we call skills and experience and wisdom, things we've learned along the way. Those are good tools to keep. We use them often. But it's the other tools, the ones that are hammers that only hit ourselves in the face. Those are the tools you don't need to use. So get rid of those tools, those memories, by cutting them off, by not reliving them, by not replaying them, and they will fade. All memories fade if you don't visit them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You won't keep remembering them.
That's so true, man. So tell me what you're kind of most passionate about, personally and professionally right now.
About this.
Yeah.
About this, that so many people are living with so much pain and they don't have to.
Hmm.
They just can't see the simplicity of life. We are connected to all life.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell the analogy of the apple. Apple on a tree, and I go and I eat the apple. What happens to the apple? It becomes a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
The apple is transformed into a human being. When I die, Scott takes my body and buries it at the base of the apple tree. What happens to my physical essence? It becomes the apple.
You're right.
We are completely connected in life. Now, the apple may not be conscious, but it's a part of consciousness because it's a part of us. And so is everything else. Bring life to the simplistic act of being, of just being alive. And then it's just love. Be loved with your friends, your family, everyone. There is no reason to be anywhere else.
And I think, too, you were kind of mentioning this earlier, and it kind of made me think about, as humans all across the globe, we all want the same basic kind of things, right? It's security, love, safety, safety for our family and stuff. And so, and in that too, if we know that going into things, that we have so much more in common with one another than we do differences. That's why the whole, like you mentioned, the political thing. I never talk politics with anybody. I don't talk religion with anybody because they're so divisive. And why are people typically doing it? Is so they can label you and put you in a box somewhere. It's like, man, let's focus on those things that we have in common, which is 95% of what we have what we are is what we have in common, not this 5% that's dividing us. Why are we focusing on that? You want the same things that I want. Let's find that and jive together with that. You know what I mean?
When you were a kid and you first saw fireworks go off in the night sky, you had this moment of just, wow.
Exactly.
It's just wonder, right?
Yeah.
You're not thinking about anything.
No.
You're just there experiencing it. Well, I guarantee you at 60 years old, you can have fireworks go off, look in the sky and go, wow. You're the same person that you were when you were a little kid.
Yeah.
That's the essence of who we are, is just that being. Look at a newborn baby. What do you feel? You feel this just love, life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're not thinking, I wonder if it's going to be a mad baby. I wonder if it's going to be a happy. You're not. It's just this beauty. That's all we do. That's all we're going to. Everyone on their deathbed, do they go, I wish I spent in the gym more. I wish I was at the office more. I wish I was fighting with my friends more. No, of course not.
No.
I wish I was in love more. I wish I spent more time with friends and family.
Listen, that's the thing that I say to guys. They're coming through these sales classes and stuff, and I teach them, like, hey, what about if we need the time off? What is it like? Take the time. I said, because I promise you, on your deathbed, you're not going to say, man, I wish I had worked that extra week to drive profits up an extra 0.0005%.
Exactly.
That's not going to matter. You're going to be, I wish I would have spent more time with my son. I wish that day when he asked me to do, I would have done this instead of that.
That's why this believing when I reach my goal, life will be better is a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Because it's here right now.
Yeah.
That may be some gravy you might enjoy, but it's not going to be the reason that you're happy.
Well, and then I'd ask the question for that too is, you get there, then what? What do you have to plan? Then what?
Yeah. So, if your future's in a goal, it'll always be in the next one.
Yes.
You're never going to arrive.
You'll never, and you'll be unhappy.
Yes. Because you'll never reach what you think is going to be the happiness.
It's like that saying, I'm greater than my problems and stronger than my circumstances, right? So it's kind of what that makes me think of. So you mentioned, in my research, you say we all walk a hard road and we just wear different shoes.
Yeah.
What are the hardest shoes you've had to fill, and how did you get through it?
Hardest shoes I had to fill. Letting go. The act of just saying that stuff wasn't that important. The stuff I thought was such a big deal just wasn't. 99% of my worries and fears never came true. Why did I put those shoes on and think that was the reality? And so many people live in shoes like that day in and day out, worried, angry, upset, confused, all these things because they think there's a big deal happening to them. And it's not. Those are hard shoes to get out of.
Letting go.
It's just let go, man. It's not worth holding on to.
Yeah. That's super.
You're not taking it with you. You're not going anywhere with it.
It's just holding you down. I do this exercise, Dallas, where I have, I have a room full of participants, and I have a couple of guys say, "Hey, who wants to join me up here?" And they'll join me. I said, "Because you have a small task, you don't have to do anything but stand here. You don't have to say anything. Your only participation is stand here while I'm doing this talk. It's probably going to be about 25 minutes long.
Right.
Hold your hand out." And I put a few pebbles in each of their hands and have them hold it out. And on occasion, as I'm talking, I check in with them. How's it going? They're like, my arm's getting sore. This is happening. You see them dropping. Some of them are like beating up sweat. And we get to the end, and the whole goal is to say, think about all those pebbles you pick up and you carry throughout your life, that emotional baggage that you're carrying throughout your life, that are not serving you, that are keeping you and holding you back and weighing you down and keeping you from moving forward, that you don't even need. Like, what is it doing for you other than holding you back? And so it's the letting go. It's the letting go of that. And then too, think about, I'm curious about your perspective on this. I also think the other side of it is people will hang on to it because they then tell themselves, they make themselves believe, I put a lot of time into that. I don't want to because that was a lot of time. I don't want to just throw that away. What are your thoughts on that?
Identification.
Yeah.
We identify with pieces of our life that we carry around because we think that's who we are. Mm-hmm. I couldn't let go of this baggage. This is me. People say it all the time. I can't let go. What do you mean let go? You think I'm just going to not remember this stuff? It's a part of me. Mm-hmm. That's that process of letting go. What happens in the end? You drop the pebble.
Yeah.
You just don't hold it anymore. People go, it's so hard. It's not hard when you get to it.
Yeah, and
when you get to the moment of change. I'm in a marriage for 25 years. I knew I had to not be in that marriage, but I couldn't leave. Why couldn't I leave? Our cars we had together, a house we owned together, a business we had together, our bank accounts were together. How could I possibly extract myself
So
from
much
that
easier to say,
story?
right? It's so much easier. Yeah.
But when the moment happened and you do split, you instantly turn around and go, it was that
Oh,
easy? It's over?
right.
How could it have been that simple? And all those years, I thought it was this massive thing I had to hold on to. And so we put ourselves through all this pain and we get comfortable in our pain because we're used to it. We can deal with it. I know what tomorrow is going to be hell, but I
That's it.
put up with it today. I can do it again.
It's predictable. And so,
Yes.
yeah, it's predictable.
Get comfortable in our discomfort
Yeah. And it should
and
be the
do it over and over.
yeah. It should be, you should be comfortable being uncomfortable, getting out of it, right? It's like, hey, I got to get out
Exactly.
of the temporary piece of that.
And every time you do get out of it, you notice it was easy when it happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's all about the emotional thing you've attached to it, which is
Exactly.
like the money. It's just what that is. It's just there regardless.
Yeah.
Right. So you just got to extract yourself from that.
Whether
So
it's the story from the past, the job you're in, the relationship you're in that isn't working, you've attached yourself to it.
yeah.
And so letting go is so hard. Getting out of those shoes is really difficult.
Well, it's like when you go, you think about this whenever you go to a party or something like that. What's the first thing people ask you? What do you do for a living? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not what I do for a living. Well, what I will tell you is I'm an excellent father. I'm very passionate about exercise. Like, and people are thrown off by that. No, but what do you do? Well, you talking about what I do for work? Yeah, I purposely do that to make them think and stop. It's like, man, we can have a much more genuine conversation. Don't identify yourself and label yourself based on your work. It should be more meaningful than that, because at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah. Most people's who they are is the image they present the world.
Exactly.
I am who I look like in these clothes.
Yeah.
I am what I do for my job. I am the image I present to the world because that's from my story that I think is me. That's the who, but it's not what you are.
It's not the what. That's the key. So
exactly.
So
And the what is what we bury.
yes.
The what is what we're keeping buried underneath all the image and the attachment and the inability to let go. The what is that scary person inside you need to get loving with.
Wow. So all of these kind of things that we've talked about, if you could think about kind of immediately the biggest obstacle you had to overcome in your own life and how it, future shaped your work, what do you think that would be?
Belief. The truth of belief. We talked earlier about you had beliefs 10 years ago that you don't have today. Well, if they were beliefs, because we think beliefs are foundational, what you believe is somehow powerful. It's not. It's just a temporary state of mind that you believe in at that moment. And it's different tomorrow. So don't make belief so powerful. That's what allows us to let go of the past. If it's just a belief that I decide to hold, I don't have to hold it.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a powerful thing to get into yourself. We want a solid foundation. It makes us feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is there isn't one. It doesn't exist. This is why we have things like the only thing that never changes is change. Change is always the constant. So don't try and hold on. There is no balance in life. There's no work-life balance.
No.
Life is a teeter-totter. You're running here and there. You're trying to keep it going.
Yeah. It's messy. It's all kinds of things. And
yeah,
you have to embrace the beauty of it all because it's all necessary. Right?
Don't take it all so seriously.
That's it. That's it. That's it. So I know we talked about your most recent book, The Gift is the Present. And I know the answer to this, but I'd like to hear it again and you kind of expand a bit more on this. But what's the greatest gift you discovered through your journey?
Being present. That's it. That is absolutely it. If I am not focused on the past or dreaming about the future, I'm here. There is no problem. There is no worry. I have no stress in my life anymore. Because what can happen?
Mhm.
We're just here. All of our worries, concerns, trials, tribulations, stress, anxiety comes from these other areas.
Mhm.
They don't exist when you're here. They're just not present in your life. Scott, you may have something that's going to happen 20 minutes from now that you're worried about.
Mm.
You can have something that happened yesterday that you regret. And if you think about those two things, that's where you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're just here with me talking, you're just here. You don't have a problem. You don't have anything about to happen. You're in it.
Mhm. I try.
Learn to live in it.
I take people through an exercise when they call. I have a client. It's like, man, I'm having. It's a day. I don't know if I can, make my session later, whatever that is. And so I tell them, okay, slow down, stop. Are you in a place where you can sit down somewhere? So, yes, is it quiet? Here's what I want you to do. We're going to get off the phone, but I want you to focus on these things. I want you to focus on saying your name to yourself. Who are you? I want you to then say to yourself, where are you? Like physically in the world. To all the backing it, I'm in the world. I'm in the United States. Like chain it back that way. Then I want you to start thinking about where you are physically in the room, how the chair feels against your body in that room. What color shirt do I have on? What color pants do I have on? How do my feet feel against the floor? And be completely present where you
Yeah.
are, because we're making this. What you're doing is making this larger than what you really are. You're right here in this physical small space. It's very small, and then truly breathe. Take a
That's what
deep.
I used in the beginning.
Yeah,
That was the only technique I used in the beginning.
yeah.
Was just to sit down and focus on the breath. In,
It's
out, in, out. It just takes a couple minutes and you're
hidden
there.
ability. Yes, it just takes a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And I teach box breathing and all that kind of stuff, but not even to give even that advanced with them just initially, but just to say, truly inhale a breath fully and fully exhale it. How long has it been since you truly took a full deep breath in and fully exhaled it? And go through that cycle and say, I'm okay, I'm good, I'm present, I'm beautiful. You tell yourself those things, and then we'll have a conversation when your session comes today, because you will show up.
The
And they
one
always
second, the 1 second you take to say, what am I thinking right now? You're present. The minute you do that, you're present.
you can't think about it.
Because I'll do this with an audience when I'm giving a talk. I'll say, okay, everybody, I want you to right now think, what will my next thought be?
Yeah.
Right now, do it. And what happens? There's a blank space because the next thought doesn't come
Right.
because you're present.
Yeah.
There's no actual thinking when you're present. You are just being right there.
Yeah.
The thoughts are always from somewhere else.
And it's funny. It's the way you say things to yourself as well, right? Like there's
Yeah.
Simon Sinek. I know you've probably read him. I've read all of
Yep.
his stuff, and he's all about intentionality and the way you say things. And it's not about like kids, for example. You don't tell them what you don't want them to do. You tell them what they should be doing. So you get this brand new couch. You don't say you should not be eating on the couch. Instead, you say you should be eating at the kitchen table.
Right.
So you're reinforcing positive habits and what they should be doing, as opposed to the focus on it. Because all they're going to think about is that negative thing. Is like, if I tell you not to think about a red car, the first thing that popped into your head was a red car.
Yeah.
So
go
say,
where you want to be.
yeah, yeah,
Don't talk about where you don't want to be.
exactly.
Because you
Exactly.
stay where you don't want to be.
That's it. That's it. All right. We are at the rapid fire questions. These are always fun. So what we do here, I've got about 13 of these, and I want you to answer these with the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay, ready? You buckled in? You ready? You seated?
Let's go.
What's your favorite exercise?
Walking.
Walking. What's one piece of advice you'd give your 20-year-old self?
Don't take it so seriously.
Books or movies?
Ooh. Books.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Comfort food.
Yeah.
Steak.
If you could master any skill instantly, what would it be?
Forgetting.
Oh, I've never had that answer. One word to describe your current chapter of life.
Love.
Mm. What's a place you still want to visit?
The rest of my brain.
Who inspires you the most right now?
Oh, wow. Awareness.
Mm.
The act of being.
What's the best life advice you've ever received?
Don't take it so seriously.
Define happiness in one sentence.
Oh, presence.
Mountains or ocean?
Oh, come on. Ocean.
It's tough, right?
Yep.
Depends on where you are, right, in your life and how you're feeling, and because it is a connection thing for me too. So tell people this is your time to talk about like your books, where people can find you. Of course, I'll have this all in the show notes. Anything you've got coming up that you're working on that you want people to know about, any of the shows you're going to be on, any of that kind of stuff you want to share right here. This is your time to kind of how people can kind of connect with you and learn a bit more about you.
Yeah. Well, in this day and age, you don't have to give a lot of information. If someone has your name, they can find everything.
Right.
So I just say, just find Dallas Collis at Facebook, at TikTok, at Instagram, wherever. It's easy to find people.
It really is. Now, I'll link his information in the show notes and all of his books and stuff. I've got a bio that I'll make sure that I put in the show notes today for the listeners. Really great episode. And this is the kind of the portion, Dallas, that I really like to give the guest the last words of advice. Anything you want to share here for the listeners?
Yeah. Please don't take yourself so seriously. Just relax. All this baggage you're carrying isn't as important as you think it is. It's just the belief. And you don't have to stay there. It's always that advice. Just relax. Take it easy. You're not going to be worrying about this when you get old. Weren't worrying about it when you were young. It's just this in between that you're filled yourself with. Relax. It's a beautiful journey. Enjoy it.
I love it, man.
As far as we know, you only get one shot, as far as we know.
As far as we know. I love it so much. Well, until next time, this is Reinventing Life After 50, and this is To Your Health. Thank you, guys. Bye.